you can see a physical injury, and so people can make sense of it. But when you can't see the mental injury, people have a harder time um, actually making sense of why an athlete can't perform.
Not just dealing with being a female in a sport that was predominantly men, but also being a Black female. So there's a lot to have to deal with that, with the stereotypes being expected. Oh, that I'm uh, genetically supposed to be fast.
If you look at the person who I was, like, I mean, obviously people grow and develop, but like who I was when I graduated high school to the person I become like now, like there's no way I would have been able to do this kind of stuff if it wasn't for sports.
Thank you for joining me. We got together to talk about an upcoming interesting holiday called National Girls and Women in Sports Day, and we've invited a few Hera Hub members to chat with us. So if we could go around and just share who you are and what you do.
My name is Sarah Savoca. I'm a former Division I volleyball player, and as far as work goes right now, I am a mental skills coach and also NLP coach and trainer. I really specialize in working with high school athletes to heal any mental blocks they're facing so that they can get recruit ready and really get recruited to their dream program.
And I am Theresa Wells. I am a former high school and college track and field athlete who has now grown into running her own business called Tone at Home Fitness, where I do in-home personal training for adults and youth. I have a program called Teen Fit, so this is perfect as well. I help men and women and teens from 14 and up with weight loss, their nutrition coaching, most sports specific nutrition coaching. I am a marathon coach, so I do train distance runner, half marathon, full marathon, middle distance from there. And outside of that, helping athletes return to running after recovering from an injury or illness.
Hi, I am Allison Able. I am the founder of Able Bodies Fitness. I'm a former Division I rower, and now I am a personal trainer. I work specifically, well, I work with everybody, but specifically women, getting them stronger. I do in person in North County Carlsbad or North County San Diego. Sorry about that, and also virtual training. And I basically just help women train for life.
So National Girls and Women in Sports Day, their goal is to really break some of the traditional stereotypes around gender in the sports industry. What's something that you had to go through or overcome that perhaps was maybe because you were a female, but specific to your athleticism?
I was a graduate assistant strength and conditioning coach at Eastern Illinois University. And because we were such a small school, they had to have one female on staff. So I was the only female of like 5 guys, and they were all like former football players. So they were just these like giant, kind of scary guys. And I had to work with football. We had to work because there was just not enough staff to like have their own little like team. So I was thrown in working with like all of these giant humans. And it was basically like, Allison, you just got to figure it out. And like, I had to be like yelling and screaming. And like, they were like, you can either be like their mom or like their big sister, or you can be like terrifying. And I was like, I don't think I could be terrifying. So, I mean, I had to like step up and be this role. And like, I'm trying to coach these guys and I'm looking up at every single one of them. Like, these guys are huge, but it was just like, you had to be super confident. You just had to like own it and just be like, okay, here it is. And I feel like, like growing up as an athlete, it's like, you have to go through so much stuff and push yourself and do like really, really hard workouts that you're like, when you look at the board, you're like, how in the heck am I going to do this? But then you get through it. And then it's like, then you coach these athletes, these like people. And it's just like, after that, it's just like, okay, well, if I did that, I can pretty much do anything now. So it's like, I guess it's kind of like sets you up to be like, not really like scared or intimidated by people. It's just like, okay, here's a situation. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to do it.
and for females, especially young girls, they already have a lot of self-doubt that they're dealing with and low self-esteem about their weight, their height, about what their friends think, whatever's going on with them at home. And just me having to push past that, by the time I got to college, I think I just was like, I didn't want to do it anymore. So after 2 years, I just stopped and then blossomed into a distance runner later on in adult life, where then I had to deal with more of, again, male dominated sport as a distance runner. And again, the stigma of running while Black. The things that people say while I'm out running on the street, not, so I listen to music and to block all that out, or being harassed, being yelled out the window when I'm not in the wrong or doing anything. I'm in the bike lane, or I'm on the sidewalk, or I'm running close to the road where I can't, where they're on the sidewalk. And just dealing with that and running in places sometimes that might not be the safest place to be out there. So my whole thing is just had to develop within myself to become more brave, to be courageous, to speak up, to be more assertive in order to fight my way to the point of athleticism where I needed to be to excel in my sport.
If at no other point during this conversation, I just want to take a moment and say, well done and thank you. And I'm sure that you're bringing compassion into your work now with the people that you're working with. I'm wondering also if your competitive nature shows up in your work environment.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it mostly shines through like even just like playing like board games with friends or like going bowling or something, as simple as that to like going to the gym and lifting weights. And I'm like, okay, well, how much can I lift? Like just being competitive with myself. I wouldn't say it shines through and with my one-to-one clients as much. But definitely I also coach a volleyball team down here, and like I'm like, yeah, I want to win. Like at the end of the day, I'm more concerned about how we're playing, and I still have that competitive heart of like, let's get after it, let's put max effort in and see what we can do here.
During races, I put targets on people's backs, use them as my pacer. So I figure, okay, I'm gonna get to this person. Okay, now I'm gonna get to this person. Because it's just, running is a mental game. It's more mental than physical. Yes, it takes a lot of training, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of things you have to give up and things like that.
Yeah, but I feel like really it's like, but I do the exact same thing. If I'm like swimming or if I'm running or something, I will be in a race and I'm gonna be like, that person, okay, you. Or if like I'm in a CrossFit competition, I'm like, oh, you're not about to beat me here. And it's like, I told my sister the other day, because I was supposed to fill in for her team, I was like, the problem is I will push myself until I am injured to try to win, because it's like I'm to the point where I just can't jump in and compete anymore. I have to like prepare for it, I have to train for it, I have to warm up for it, because it's like that competitive switch just like flips, and it's just like you're going, and it's my body's like, Allison, what are you doing? So yeah, it sticks with me, unfortunately.
Sometimes I think we tend to, women, female entrepreneurs, we can kind of hold back in that space. And I think this is something that we should absolutely be embracing, that it is the thing that turns inside of us and brings us a lot of power and motivation. It makes us very action oriented. We can push to new places that we haven't gone to before. We set goals, we achieve them. It's so nice. It's so important. And that energy is very similar. And I know I can kind of tap into my own tap into my own athletically minded self to kind of go, okay, this isn't about being better than somebody else in like their heart. It's like, I'm pushing myself right now. I'm going to see how far I can take me, and you're going to help me get there because you're going to help me motivate me because of what you have achieved. So I'm wondering if there's anything that you all have learned in your industry around trends or changes about girls or women in your industries now that you've started working in those spaces, either something you're noticing or something that has become very clear because of the work that you do.
And then one caveat is I'm also a school counselor. I've been for over 20 years. So I implement the behavioral and mental health piece into what I do. And when I'm picking up, as people get more familiar with you, they feel safe and comfortable with you, they start sharing with you. And there's a lot of self-doubt, a lot of guilt, a lot of insecurity, a lot of self-negative talk. And I'm bringing that up to say that we, as women, we really have to be mentors for those girls. Because even though they're out there being competitive in sports, they're out there doing their best and they're trying, we have some parents that verbally break them down. We still have coaches that verbally break young people down, more so with the girls. We still, um, with sports, we have to be very careful with the body image thing. And because we have a lot of young ladies, even adult women, who are ending up with eating disorders. We beat up on ourselves a lot. I tell people, as long as you get out there and run, you're running. And there's no, with the body image, people are saying, well, they don't look like a runner. And I look like, well, what does a runner supposed to look like? What is an athlete supposed to look like? I said, there are men and women out there that are a lot heavier than what a lot society thinks they should be, but I can guarantee you they're stronger than you because I've seen them in the gym, and they're healthy. They don't need to be skinny to be healthy. And a lot of people that are termed skinny are actually unhealthy.
The bread and butter with my business is like talking about, the self-doubts, the insecurities, the negative self-talk, the self-pressure, and all of that stuff. And yes, of course, like you said, it's like it was so real before COVID. And I think because COVID put so many of those athletes in that isolation, and with social media on the rise, like their subconscious mind is now in a place where they're just subconsciously comparing themselves to people online every day for hours at a time, depending on how much time they're spending on their phones just scrolling through social media. And that has definitely, like, when they're just there subconsciously comparing themselves, of course they're going to feel like they're not enough, because of course social media, it is a highlight reel in a sense. And so they kind of end up having these unrealistic expectations and feel like they're not good enough, whether it is mentally, physically, or anything in between, which has just, it's a very interesting place to be in. And I'm glad that it's being talked about now more than ever. I think in the Olympics, however many years ago that was now, with Simone Biles, like, stepping out and like kind of taking a stand against that. And we saw how everyone reacted with that. And because she wasn't super public and open about what was happening right away. And I think that was such a pivotal point, because you can see a physical injury, and so people can make sense of it. But when you can't see the mental injury, people have a harder time actually making sense of why an athlete can't perform. And so I think, like, working towards having more mental skills coaches, having more sports psychologists in youth sport and into college sport and professional sport is a trend that I'm so happy to see going in that positive direction, because it is so important. And again, it's like so prevalent now, more than ever.
I completely agree with everything you are saying, like, especially like the social media side of it. Like, I think just women, and like, this is so unfortunate, but like, it's like really hard for us to like not have like body image issues. Like, we can be like so confident. And then it's like, you start scrolling social media and you see these like bodies that are, probably not even real. I mean, they could be edited, they could be whatever the heck is going on. And you're sitting there just like comparing yourself. And it's like, I think with at least the clients that like I work with now, like a lot of them are in their 30s and 40s and 50s, and they're getting to the point now where they're like, I want to be strong.
But another really positive trend, obviously being in the volleyball world, is how much volleyball has been exploding in the States specifically. I can't be on this podcast and be asked this question and not say this. But last year there was an attendance record of 92,000 attendees at the national championship game, Texas versus Nebraska, which is just insane. I'm just looking at some numbers here. There was an average of like 1.7 million viewers, which was up 115% from the prior year. It peaked at 2.1 million viewers. Female viewership was up 151% from 2022. So just some really, really amazing positive growth with volleyball specific. I think it's the number one growing sport in the country right now. Over men's, which is like amazing and something that should be celebrated big time. And then something else I want to point out is that there are a lot of professional volleyball teams, women's specific, who are having their inaugural seasons this year. I definitely want to shout out and I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but the Pro Volleyball Federation. I think we're all down here in San Diego, and the San Diego Mojo's having their inaugural season. There's been some Pro Volleyball Federation matches already happening. I think the first match had over 11,000, pushing 12,000 fans there, which is just absolutely insane. And these are talented volleyball players who are well known, who have years of experience playing overseas and then also playing at top NCAA Division I schools. So just to see that these professional organizations are actually coming to the States and having success and having people like Carrie Walsh and Jason Derulo and Joe Burrow sponsor them is so amazing. I know for me, like I had the option and opportunity to go and play professional overseas when I graduated college, but for me, it just didn't make sense because, again, being a female in the volleyball world, you're making maybe $20,000, $30,000 a season. So you're basically breaking even overseas, just at the beginning of your career. And so for me, it just didn't make sense with everything. But to see these players getting paid, over six figures for this being their job now is just, it's incredible, insane, and something that I didn't think would happen as soon as it is. I wanted to point that out.
If there's a young woman or an older woman who needs to hear those words, can you share something inspiring for someone who's watching this video?
Stay away from people who are always putting you down, who are always telling you you can't do something, or questioning your ability, such as, why do you want to do this? What are you going to get out of it? You're not going to make money from this. Stay away from people who always want to be in your ear. What it is, they don't believe enough in themselves that they can do it. So they're transferring all of that out on the women who can. And it doesn't matter if it's coming from another woman, a man, your parents, your grandparents, a sibling, people who are supposed to be your friends. If they cannot support you in the way you need them to support you, then you really have to think about where they fit in your life. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad people. It just means that they're not the right fit for you in that part of your life in your current season. And I will also say that you have to stay focused. You sometimes have to coach yourself, mentally coach yourself, especially on those days when you do not want to get up out of bed at 4:00 in the morning or 5 a.m., whenever you start. When you see a workout that you may not necessarily want to do, you have to mentally coach, you have to mentally push, you have to have that drive, you have to have that tenacity. You, most importantly, you have to be consistent. Consistency is key. Believing enough in yourself to know that you're going to pull through even the toughest of days is loving yourself in what it is that you do and loving yourself for who you are. And know that, I want to say, is that never let anyone dim your light. Keep that light shining bright. Take that leap of faith and fly. Don't let anyone, do not even let yourself hold you back from your potential and your possibilities, because you never know what it is you can do until you try. You never know what it is you can do until you push yourself past where you thought you could go. And just carry on and keep continuing, and always surround yourself with the people who believe in you, who cheer for you, and people can cheer for you in many different ways.
You just got to do it, and it's just like you said, surround yourself by people who like do support you and will like push you to like show up every day, to wake up in the morning, to like, whatever it is that goal is. But it's just do it, just take that leap and take that risk and go. So
Like, you can give yourself everything that you need. So if there's something you feel like you're lacking, like you're lacking that cheer or you're lacking that affirmation, like that starts with you. When you can see it in yourself, then other people will start seeing it in you. And then another thing that's coming to mind is just like, be ridiculously present and like lean into the gratitude for your present moment. The future is never promised. The past is in the past. Just spending your time ruminating on the past and what it could have been or what you wish you had done, or spending time on the future, being nervous about what's going to happen or feeling like you need to control something so that it ends up a certain way, will not serve you. What's going to serve you and what's going to actually create your future is the present moment and making the decisions in the present moment. That's how you're going to find your best healing. That's how you're going to find that flow state, whether you're playing sport, whether you're building your business, whether you're doing anything. The magic happens in the present moment and being ridiculously grateful for what you have, even if you know you deserve more.